Has this ever happened to you? Or this? Will this make your memoirs? At Shelter Insurance, we can't iron out all the glitches in modern life. But we can manage your auto, home, and life insurance just fine. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Get the insurance coverage you need at the right price. Call Mark Manning today.
Mr. Ted Hall from the White River Area Agency on Aging joins us as he does most every month here on Facebook and YouTube and Cable Channel 6 and Cable Channel 15 TV in Newport, Arkansas. And Mr. Hall, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
I'm solid as a rock, feeling good. And I understand you've been under the weather, but you're doing well now.
Yeah, I'm doing well now. And so, hey, we're back rolling. And so, we always have challenges every day we live, isn't it, David?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, and so we find ourselves again in the middle of the COVID.
Right.
And the virus that goes with that, I believe they call it the Delta virus. It seems like it's raised its ugly head.
Right, yeah.
And so we're seeing an uptick, really, not only here in Independence County, in our counties in Jackson County, and really throughout all of Arkansas. And so I think it's a time that we look and see what's going on, and that's what we've been doing. We've been talking to our people and just to see exactly how we ought to move forward with facing the virus.
Well, you got to face it. I mean, you got to go full steam ahead, and so we got to do what people that are in the know make recommendations for us to do, and that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about some of the recommendations that have been made that can make us all live better.
You bet, absolutely. And of course, what we're thinking about how do we serve our clients that we go into our homes every day, and so we're back to a really strict protocol in that. And actually, David, we have office in each of our 10 counties that we serve. So we were visiting with them today, and I'll have a phone call with them in the morning just to make sure they understand what we mean. We want to kind of relook and see how we're handling the COVID procedures as far as making sure that our doorknobs are clean, that our hands, and we keep our hands away from our face, and all those kind of things that we had talked about back in a few months ago. So it looks like we're going to have to go back to that and see if that helps us. And of course, David, we talked about before the show today, is that really the emphasis that we want to talk about today is the vaccine. And being vaccinated is really something that we'd like for people to really look at. And we think if we look, or I think if we look at the experts, they tell us that we need to take the shot.
That's what they say.
And so I'm going to take the shot.
There you go. I've had mine.
We want to go forward with that, but everybody has to make their own decision about that. But we really feel like you could, by taking the shot, you're really helping your neighbors, you're helping your family, the people around you. And so that's the way we're looking at it, and we want to encourage people to do it. I don't think we can take a gun to their people's head to do it, but I think we sure hope that people will consider taking the shot as we go forward.
Ted, you mentioned, I mean, it's a decision that people have to make based on a lot of information that is out there, and the biggest decision that you have to make, you gather that information and you make an intelligent decision based on that information is what's the most important thing for your family.
Right.
And
everybody's got. I think you have to include your doctor and your medical folks.
Absolutely.
Those kind of things like that. So that's where the decision, for me anyway, it needs to come from, is from that good information from people you trust. And for me, it's in the medical field. So
well, absolutely. Yeah. And when you get that information from those people who are in the know, then you say, well, here's the information, and the guys who are in the know, the medical people say, you need to get the vaccination, and then you take into my side of going, okay, take that information. If they say you can either do it or you don't want to do it, we encourage people to get a vaccine. Get the vaccination.
I don't know how much clearer we can be.
I don't either.
I'm usually talking real fast today, but today I'm talking real slow because we really want to get that point across. And then another thing, Gary.
I've been called worse in my lifetime.
David, is that we really continue to need to hire people, aides that go into our homes, and so we continue to look for people that want to look at a good job. They really can pick their own hours. We have a good, decent starting wage and good insurance, and so if someone has a real desire to help people, help seniors, then they need to go to White River Area Agency on Aging and call our 1-800 number, and that number is 1-800-382-3205, or they can call here at office at 870-612-3000. So we'll get them the right people to contact if they're interested in working. So really, two things today: the vaccination, and then also we're interested in hiring people. And that's that's our show today.
Well, I tell you what, it's always good information.
Absolutely. So anyway, we always appreciate you all coming and visit us, and we appreciate getting out into the counties that we serve, and we have an interest in them. We've been here, David, over 45 years, and so we want to continue to do that, and we want to do that by keeping people healthy.
White River Area Agency on Aging in those 10 counties. And of course, we're being seen in the Jackson County area, and of course in Independence County in the Batesville market. And Mr. Ted Hall, it's always my pleasure to get to visit with the executive director of this operation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And Planters Bank was founded in 1946 by farmers and business owners because they needed a community bank that knew them and understood their business. A lot has changed since then, but Merchants and Planters Bank is still employee-owned and operated, and we're still committed to knowing and understanding the needs of every customer we serve. Great rates, fast turnarounds, and experienced local bankers ready to work for you. That's why you should choose Merchants and Planters Bank. Stop in any of our 12 locations or contact us at mnpbank.com.
Tara Salinas joins us at Merchants Planters Bank in downtown Newport, our hometown bank, and celebrating 75 years of service to this community.
75.
Not you, but the bank itself.
Not me. I mean, not there yet, but yes.
How's Tara?
I'm doing quite well. Good to see you
good,
again. Good to see everybody out in online and TV land. It's been a while.
It has. It has. And we want to talk about some of the great things that are going on here. Sometimes we don't get to talk enough about good, safe, solid, trustworthy business banking, and that's what we're here to do today, to talk about Merchants and Planters Bank and what we can do for you.
Yeah, well, we are rounding the corner of summer. I don't want to say summer is almost over because I know all the kids that are going back to school don't want to hear those words. But it is kind of nearing the end. And I know things get hectic and crazy. As a mom of a teenager, back to school means lots of practices. It means you're on the go. It means, we're going to eat dinner at 8:30 now.
That's right.
And you get the homework done and get in bed, and it's wild. So just reminding everyone out there, all the busy parents and everyone, that we do have a great suite of online and digital banking products that can make your life easier. I know some people shy away from doing their business online or, the mobile apps and everything. We also have a really educated, friendly staff that knows their way back and forth on the online banking and mobile apps. And they're very happy to work with anyone of any age to get them set up and to show them how to do what they need to do. So I see it and hear it every day. They say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I see lots of old dogs out, wagging their tail, happy because they can check their balance on their phone. They can set up alerts that let them know, if their balance is getting low, if perhaps something came through on their card and they wanted to flag it, to see if they can catch fraud. They can deposit checks from their phone. They can, just kind of any transaction that you want to do, and you don't want to take the time to come to the bank or drive through, you can probably do it online or on your phone. So just give us a chance to let us help you out and slow things down for your finances banking wise, and go to our website, mmpbank.com. We've got a lot of good tips and videos on there that'll help you just kind of let you know what's out there. So it'll help you to determine if it's right for you.
Tara, I do think this, and I think that the first time that you take somebody that's my age, 65 years old, and I've been online banking for several years now, the first time or two you get on there, you get a little overwhelmed, and then you call or you come down here and you kind of show me which button to press, and it is simplified banking. It's easier than walking in the door. It's easier to take care of your balances. It's easier to find out your information at your fingertips.
Yes.
It is easier if we're willing to learn how to do that. And
Right.
It doesn't take a big learning curve to learn all this.
It doesn't. We have, like I said, we have Tristan and Kristen. They're the dynamic electronic banking duo. And like I said, they're both very well versed in all things electronic banking, and they're great teachers and instructors. They have wonderful patience, and they want to help people learn how to use all these beneficial products and systems.
I think one of the best things that we do is set up automatic bill pay to where it just comes out of our checking account, and we get our receipts, or whether we get a bill or whatever, you get a bill and you know it's paid. I love that feature.
It's easy. It's at no charge to
Right.
our customers. It's very safe, and you have options. So yeah, you can say pay my bills on the due date.
Right.
You can say pay my bills a week before it's due. You can say, hey, send me a notification to let me know my bill is due, and then I can tell you when to pay it. So you really can customize it and make it work with your lifestyle and make it easier for you.
We know we've lived in a world that's really changed the last year or so, and the banking industry has changed, and I mean everything in the world has changed, and we encourage folks to talk about that. But when you talk about safe investments that are guaranteed, and if somebody's willing to invest some money, why not us? Why not M&P? Investment services. So let's talk a little bit about that.
We also have a great trust and wealth management division. Nate Watson, Josh Brandt, Cody Mann, Daniel Addington, great group of guys who, again, really want to work with you and help you. I know that, during this wild economic year and a half or whatever, some people may have more money than they, know what to do with, really. And our trust and wealth management group is really good at making sure people get a clear view of how they can invest and how they can save, and just, really smart ways to diversify. And they're all about, giving sound, secure financial advice. So, and they're local, great guys. So yeah, I would encourage anyone out there who's interested in making plans for their future, planning for retirement, setting up a trust for, your kids or dependents. I mean, there's just a variety of things that they can help you with. And, I have a lot of people say, oh, I don't have any money, so I don't need to talk to them. And, I get it, I understand, but they're great at, they'll work with you, and we'll start from scratch to help you develop a plan.
Financial planning.
Yeah,
Financial
that's what
planning.
they do.
If you don't have any money, if you talk to folks, they may get you some money in a couple of years down the road if you have a plan.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's all about, making plans. And if you don't have any now, then sit down and develop a plan to start saving some. Because as we have seen, anything can happen. And it's just, you'll live a much more peaceful life knowing that you planned ahead and you have some in reserve, and you're going to be okay. So
Well, you've been doing it for 75 years, and that's a long, long time to be in one business. And it all started many, many years ago, obviously, when some merchants and some planters got together to start a little old bank. And look at us like-
1946 in Tupelo, Arkansas.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Snap, JP Snap, along with a lot of other savvy business owners, small business owners, and landowners, farmers. They decided that they wanted a bank that was, keen to what they did, their businesses, that knew farming, that knew small businesses, and that was local in their community. So that's how we got our start back in 1946, and that's really, we're living by those same principles today. That's what we want to do. We want to take care of our local community. We want to help the farmers and the small business owners and, everyone else out there have a safe, sound, successful financial life.
I do know this, that the way we do banking has changed tremendously over the last year, the last 10 years, the last 20 years, obviously from the technology that is involved. But the one thing that has never changed and will never change is the personal service that you get at Merchants and Planters Bank, and that's why it is our hometown bank, because of the personal service.
Well said. Well said and quite true. Yes.
When you need an answer to a question, somebody can answer it for you here at Merchants and
We
Planters
have
Bank.
people on staff. When you call us during business hours, you're going to get a real local human that's waiting and willing to help.
Tara Salinas at Merchants and Planters Bank. We're in downtown Newport. We've got locations in northeast and north central Arkansas, and we're here to take care of you the way we have for the last 75 years. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, David. Thank you.
John Chadwell from the Newport Economic Development Commission, the executive director in downtown Newport, Arkansas. We get to visit each and every month here on our Facebook programs and on Cable 15 TV. John, good to see you again. We got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to cover this month.
Yeah, it's good to be here. And this month, we're going to kind of focus on tech. I know you are like the tech savvy guy, and you don't ever.
I am him.
Many people are like me, and you become the default tech person in your company because who else is going to do it? But if we were thrown into a true technology environment, you and I probably would struggle just a bit with having the appropriate skills. And so I would never fill out a resume or something that said I was a qualified tech employee. Now I might be willing to learn, but as far as currently being qualified, we've started trying to become a more technology oriented community. And this isn't to replace anything. This is just as an additional part of our economy. Agriculture is always going to be part of Jackson County's economy, a huge part of Jackson County's economy. And then starting in the 60s, really, and 70s, manufacturing became a huge part of Jackson County's economy. And now we need to just add another component to that, and that's technology. In the past, technology companies have really struggled about whether they could operate in rural America or not. Right. And so they've gravitated toward the coasts and toward large population centers. And so with our Tech Depot project that we started, one of the goals was to say we can recruit and or train tech workers in rural communities, and to prove it could be done. So we started Tech Depot. We've gotten this outdoor Wi-Fi accessibility grant that we talked a little bit about. And it's a great grant, be a little over $165,000, and we don't have to match it. And they're paying for 100% of it, but it'll build a parking lot with some green space. It'll boost the Wi-Fi at the library where people can get on and do schoolwork, job application stuff, but it'll also provide a place where people who are in technology fields, young people who are learning about technology fields, they can go to that and have a good high-speed internet access. So the survey that we have put out on Facebook, which is caught a good bit of attention, we emailed it out as well to a lot of folks. We have a technology company, and it's one that we've had a relationship from. In fact, we've hired them to do some work for us in the past. They're expanding. and they are looking for a headquarters place. Now they will do a lot of remote workers, so they'll have remote workers all over the place, but they got to have one hub where they'll hire somewhere between 10 and 20 folks that'll be in that hub and kind of manage all of the projects that are going on everywhere else. And they, like others, have looked at some urban centers in Arkansas. They want to be based in Arkansas because they're an Arkansas company. So they've looked at some urban centers like Conway, like Little Rock, but they really also like those places. But a lot of times the cost of doing business in those places is significantly higher. If you're going to rent a building, if you're going to do something like that, the cost is significantly higher. However, their number one cost and their number one need is employees. And so before they would consider a rural area, they've got to know if there's a workforce there for what they want to do. And so they have basically said, we love Newport, we love what Newport has to offer, but let's see if we can find a workforce there, and that'll help us make our decision. So we got a week, and over this week, I'm asking anybody that is qualified for a technology job, has any kind of background, even if you've just been to coding boot camp or you got your A+ certification or some kind of tech certification, some kind of tech degree. If you grew up in Newport and you're looking at moving, you'd love to move back and you're in technology, this would be a great job for you. Go to our Facebook page. You'll see the survey. Just click it. I think it's 11 questions. So it take you maybe 5 minutes to finish it. It's not in depth. But the interesting thing is, since we threw that up on Facebook, I've had 2 other tech companies that have said, hey, would you share the results with us? Because, we'd be interested in seeing what the workforce is like, in Newport as well. So there's an appetite from tech companies, especially ones that are going to be in this, what I'd call smaller range of, 10 employees, but maybe 15, maybe 20, to look at a rural area where the cost of doing business is less. But a tech company, if they're going to pay their top person 100 to 120, their next person's going to make 85 to 100, even their kind of junior, what you call entry level, people who have some experience, 6 months to 2 years, are going to be making 50 to 55,000. So 10 to 15 people is a $750,000 a year payroll coming into our community. And so these are some good jobs, not to replace agriculture, not to replace manufacturing, but to be a supplement to those. The more diversified we make our economy, the less susceptible we are to recessions, to pandemics, to downturns. And so if there's a downturn in agriculture and we got manufacturing and we got tech, then that'll help us weather that downturn. If there's a downturn in manufacturing, then agriculture and tech would help us weather that. If there's a downturn in tech, manufacturing and agriculture. So if you have this diversity among your economic base, then you're just better able to do the things you need to do to have a stable economy throughout all of the weird stuff we see happening in our world today.
John, I think it's a tremendous, and you talk about the possibility of attaining this company here. And when you talk about the folks from Newport, Arkansas, who don't live in Newport, Arkansas anymore, that have longed to come home to Newport, Arkansas, what a great opportunity for these folks. The folks who are in the tech business that could move home, that wanted to move home, if there wasn't a tech-based company here that they could go to work for. Great opportunity for some of those folks. Great opportunity for anybody, but certainly looking at those folks that have been wanting to come home. And I have a lot of friends that have told me from time to time, boy, if it was just that job, and talking about technology, if it was just that job in Newport that did this, I'd be interested in coming home. And there's a lot of people out there that would like to come home.
Well, I've learned the black and orange runs deep. And so people would love to come home, and maybe they have kids in school and they want them to be a Greyhound like they were a Greyhound. They want the friendly environment, the small town environment in Newport. But you're right. They love technology. They want a tech job. In the past, it's only been on the coasts, and they are a big city, and they've had to go there to do what they wanted to do. And that puts us to another thing too, is we've got some opportunities with remote workers ourselves. So folks who are in a technology company are finding out, especially COVID kind of pushed this to the forefront. You can do that job from a lot of different places because you can work from home. And so we're trying to help and work with some of our local agencies to build infrastructure so that people who want to work remotely have the opportunity to come back home and have the infrastructure here to be able to do that.
Well, we encourage you folks to fill out that survey, and if you're interested, and I mean, even if people look at it and go, well, I'm probably not interested. I mean, fill it out anyway. I mean, that makes us not only look good, but it shows that there's a lot of people that would be interested in something like that. And I mean, the tech is here. It's not going away. The tech is going away, whether you and I are part of it or not. Just like we said in the beginning, we'll just kind of float along with how it goes. The boat may go a little slower for us, but we're going to get there eventually, my friend.
Well, I've got a granddaughter, so when she's about 7, she'll be doing my tech work for me.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. John, I appreciate you so much for your time. As always, it's my pleasure to get to visit with you.
Hey, likewise, my friend.
John Chadwell, NEDC, Newport, Arkansas, and we'll see you next time.
Well, it's Dr. Gavin McDowell, and it may look like that we're in the same spot that we've always been. We have the nice set of the spectacles, would you call it, behind us? Yeah. But we're in a new location today, and I mean a beautiful, beautiful location. And next month we're going to take a tour.
Yes.
But today we're going to visit with Dr. Gavin McDowell
Yes, sir.
and find out a little bit about the building. But before we get into the building, I want you to share a little information on the trip that you just got back from. And you went to the mountains.
I went to the mountains were calling, and I heeded the call. So yeah.
Tell us about your trip.
Went out to Colorado, had a half Ironman race out there, and in Boulder, Colorado, and then we stayed in Copper Mountain, Colorado, for almost a week out there, and it's beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is the natural state, but it's nice out there. It's really nice. About 10,000 feet elevation where we stayed. It was thin.
Well, you talk about racing. We're talking about not running in a race. We're actually cycling in a race. And kind of give us some details about more. We talked before we got on the show, but pretty impressive of what you had to do just to get through a race.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Well, it was actually some running. Don't get me wrong. We started with a little over a mile swim in what's called the Boulder Reservoir, and then got out of the water, got onto a bike, and rode for 56 miles uphill into the wind all day. But yeah, and then after that we were in a half marathon, so it was.
This is the triathlon.
It was a triathlon, yeah.
I thought it was just a bicycle ride.
No.
I wonder why you kept telling me it was so tough. I said, what's so tough about riding a bicycle uphill?
If it was all bike, I'd still complain because it was oh my gosh, it was such a bad scenario of how everything was set up. Like we were talking about before we started, it was on the bike we had to climb over the course of the race, over the 56 miles that I rode on the bike. We had to climb 2,000 feet, a little bit over 2,000 feet, and all 2,000 feet was made up into 3 hills. All 3 of those were directly into the wind, and I ran out of gears on 2 of them. I had no more gears left. I was spinning my legs as fast as I could and hardly going anywhere. I came close to one person walking their bike, passing me up the hill. It was not a pleasant experience.
No, I guarantee you wouldn't. All you do is just say hi.
Hey, you mind pushing me while you're pushing you?
Well, I mean, I'm impressed that you guys do that type of thing. I mean, you have got to be in great physical condition to even attempt something like this. Tell me about your training. What training do you do, really?
Really, it's only about 2 to 3 hours a day, and then on the weekends a little longer. I swim about 3 days a week. I run and ride my bike. I ride my bike 3 days a week and run about 4 days a week, and it sucks. And I have no life outside of it. But I've done only half Ironman races up to this
Right,
point,
yeah.
which is only 70.3 miles total. This year we're actually pulling the trigger and doing a full race, doing a full Ironman, which is 140 miles.
Goodness gracious.
So,
Let me tell you what, it's tough for me.
Training for that.
The last 140 mile I did was in a car. And the next one I do
will be
in
a
a
car.
Yes, sir.
I was on my I got a trainer where I hooked my bike up. I'm not gonna ride indoors. And my my middle son came in the other day. He's 12, and he's like, "When you get done with that, Dad, or when we're done with this race, Dad, are you gonna be done training like this?" Like, no, buddy. This race is just kind of a warm up. I'm training for a bigger one in November, and he's like, "Oh, we just seem to always be on this thing." I'm like, yeah, I know. Yes, I am fully aware of
Spend
how.
some time with your
I
child.
do. Like on the weekends, I tell them, "Hey, after 11 o'clock, Daddy's yours." But until I'm
gotta
up
get your work in.
I sleep in on the weekends, which is 6, and I go from 6 to about 11, and yeah.
Yeah, I do something from 6 to 11 too, and that's probably my sleep-in time. As you go.
But here's the beautiful thing: I can eat almost anything I want.
I bet you can. I bet you can. Well, since you've returned and we're back to school on the day that we filmed, and busy.
Yeah.
Love this beautiful building. We're in
nice.
We're just right across the street from where we were.
Right.
And what was last the Chrysler Dodge.
Scott Wood.
Scott Wood.
Yep.
And you have remodeled the whole building. We talked about it for the last year or so about what are we going to do, but we finally got it done.
Finally got it done and got in.
And got in. It is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And and the streamline effect of how you come in
The
and go
flow is so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, patients aren't having to basically bump into each other, going through hallways, going from one area of the clinic to the other. I mean, it's so nice. And due to the COVID pandemic, as everybody knows, everything's on back order.
Right.
We've actually got a window on back order where we're going to have a drive-through where you can drive through, pick up your contacts, pick up your glasses that don't need adjusting and stuff like that to make it easier on the patients.
You bet.
And make it easier on the staff, obviously.
Sure,
too. But I mean,
absolutely.
it's this location is a blessing. It's so nice.
Well, it is.
Got a nice mortgage too. I'm just saying.
Well, hey, that just comes with the territory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if anybody could please do a little business with us, we would certainly appreciate you coming on and joining us.
And I bet you can't hit the parking lot with a quarter when you drive by. I bet you can't.
We are at Dr. Gavin McDowell's place of business, the new place of business, Customized Vision Care, and across the street from where we were, and I'm just impressed with the location. I'm
Thank
impressed
you.
with the tremendous parking. You can park at the building.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
park.
You don't have to, and you don't have to walk through a lot of traffic in the parking lot from the other clinic, and you're pretty close to the front door no matter where you park here. It's beautiful.
It is. What else is going on in your life, my friend? Life is good?
Life is good. As most people would say, life is good, but I'm still going to find something to complain about, But no, it's great.
That's
just
why
getting
I
in
figured
here, my level of stress was peaking the longer it took to get in here. Now that we're here, I'm better.
Yeah, because we did 4 shows back to back when we were going to be in next month.
Yeah, next month. We're over in the
We're
next
going to be
month.
over there next month.
I'm told next month we're in, but yeah,
But it just didn't quite work out, did it? It never does in building.
It never does, but
No.
everything happens for a reason, as the saying goes. So
Well,
I'm good with
all good things happen for people that wait. You think?
Oh, what commercials were that?
I don't know.
That was an old commercial.
I don't know. I'm just happy to be here. He's Dr. Gavin McDowell. We're at Customized Vision Care. And folks, if you need some professional eye care, this is where the place
Eye
is.
vision.
I'm not even going to say. If you need some eye vision care, we are the place. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Always a great pleasure to come to Unity Health Newport, Arkansas, and get to visit with Dr. Don Pate. It's my pleasure, sir.
I love it. Today, they gave me free will, so I thought I prepared a 38-minute talk on COVID. Wait a minute. I keep that. Don't
38 minutes? You can't
Mama,
get anything done in
Mama,
38.
I'm on TV, Mama. These guys are paying me $250,000 to brag about how good they are. I love you too, Mom. Okay, bye-bye. Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. Hey, when Mama calls, you got to talk,
You got to
brother.
talk to her. Did I say 30? I said 3 to 8 minutes.
3 to 8 minutes. There you go.
Okay, all right.
I've never
I
talked
was
to you
worried
ever
about
for
that.
3 to 8 minutes, so I figured it'd be a little longer than that. How's Dr. Pate doing?
Happy as I can be.
That's awesome, man.
Do y'all know that I'm starting my 11th year here?
Is that right?
It's the best move's ever happened to me. I am happiest I've ever been. I love this place. Love this town. You know, y'all are native
little
Newporters.
community.
Yeah, but I love this place. All right, so they got real serious with me the other day and said, would I go on TV and talk about COVID?
Yes, sir.
So I picked 4 subjects that are really accurate for our lay public, okay? I guess the first thing I want to say to everybody, Linda and everybody, I'm a Christian, I'm a surgeon, I'm a scientist, okay? So I'm not going to be out here spewing political dogma. I'm just going to do my best to convert medicine into Southern. I speak Southern, okay? And that's what y'all hired me, $250,000 to do, right?
That's exactly right.
All right.
Exactly. Tell it like it is, brother.
That's
Don't
right.
leave nothing out.
Don't leave anything. All right. I think one of the mistakes we've made over COVID is this politicalization. This side says, that side says, everybody's got an angle to benefit them. I mean, from A to Z, from ABC News to zoologist, everybody's spinning it. And I think the lay public is getting confused for the spins. Okay? So that's my whole thing. I'm going to talk about what we need to know in Newport. Now, whether you follow this person or that person, we're never going to know the etiology. We don't know if it came out of the Wuhan lab or if it came out of some bat hanging down from a open market. We're never going to know that. We've got to deal with July 21st, 2021 and go forward. Okay, so there are 3 vaccines out there. And I got a question just yesterday from an insurance agent. Well, what's the difference? And I said, there's one of my subjects, okay? So the first 2 were Pfizer and Moderna. And they're in the scientific world, they are so light years ahead where they just take a snippet of some DNA or RNA in this case, and they can modify it a little bit and they can mass produce it, and that's how they beat everybody to the marketplace. So yes, I bragged that I was the first person to get the vaccine in Jackson County because I wanted it.
Right.
Jump up, give me some. But that's how they did it. Their science is amazing. Is it safe? Heck yes. Oh yeah, it's safe. But they have few little quirks. Got to keep it cold, and not many places can do that. Okay. So J&J takes their time, and they go back to the old way. They said, okay, I'm just going to take this virus, I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to modify it, and I'm going to beat it with an ugly stick, but it's not going to infect you. It's going to make it look like you just got corona and make your body get better. Now, actually, they're using something called an adeno, and that's basically what you get with a common cold. Okay? So the first question, if anybody asks me, are the vaccines safe? Well, yeah. My whole family, my extended family, everybody has had it, and that makes your age from 74 to 16, and we had no problems whatsoever.
Right.
The vaccines work. Okay. So I wanted to dispel that myth. Don't let that confuse you. Now, variants. I think the original COVID viruses that came out are pretty well beaten by everything because all of the vaccines are targeted exactly to them. Now, the Delta variant is going to be a little bit different, and most of the vaccines are targeted to that. But if I expose you and Linda, that would be it on the original COVID. I'd expose 2 people, and that's about all that got sick, so then they exposed 2 people. When you take Delta, though, If I expose people, it would be 8. So then they expose another 8. That Delta doesn't make you any sicker. It just has the propensity to make you sick.
Okay.
It can make 8 versus 2 people sick.
Okay.
So Delta is legitimate. It's real. It doesn't make you any more sick. It just makes you sick.
Right.
Okay. All right. So the people who are vaccinated have a great chance against Delta. Every study, and I reread them this morning, every study out says that the current vaccines will work against Delta. Well, the Delta variant's going to wake up here in a couple months, and they're going to say, well, hell, I need to go ahead and modulate myself a little bit,
Right.
so I can go attack people, you know. I've got to survive in this world, too. So we're always going to have variants, and they're always going to go and try to modulate themselves to be more effective, so to speak, okay? All right, so I hear that. Then I had a person this morning said, I had a hard time figuring out where I was last night and driving home. I said, did you have too much to drink? No, I was at work. I said, oh, okay. I said, you got long COVID. She said, what? I said, you have long COVID. This is so true. People with brain fog are just sapped energy that may have had COVID 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They can't figure out why they can't get their stuff together. It's long COVID. The sequelae is horrible. Okay?
Some effects of later on effects is what you're talking about.
Later on. So I wanted our lay public to know not everybody gets long COVID, but if you've had COVID and this girl says she could not figure out how to drive home, she called her husband.
Wow.
I know. So long COVID is a sequelae that you just don't want. All right. So my wife says, don't mention any type of political party. You know what? Don't do that. I said, okay. I'm not going to mention the political party, but I am going to say I belong to the party of reality. I don't care what happened yesterday. I only care about today and going forward, okay? And I want to put us to this test right here, and then my 8 minutes are over, okay? 8 minutes are over, about to be over. If you can go to your family and say, I don't want that vaccine. I don't care that I'm going to miss.
Where the rubber meets the road at Farmers Tire Mart, Malcolm Avenue in Newport. I'm David Black. Marty Bain Brown joins us today to talk about Farmers Tire Mart. And Marty, it was a nice, cool 90-something degree day when we got to film, so we decided we'd film on the inside where the air conditioner is.
True that.
It's been hot last week, but it's been nice this week.
It has been nice this week, and it's a much-needed reprieve. We needed it.
We're
bad.
filming August the 2nd, 3rd, and but
Today is August the 5th.
August the 5th, excuse me. I'm kind of a little behind the schedule there, but it's been very comfortable, and it allows for your guys in the shop to have a little reprieve with the fan. But Bruce was just in and talking about it's still hot out there, but we both agreed it could be a lot worse for them.
It could be much, much worse. Last week was much, much worse.
It was a very hot month, and it's supposed to be that this time of year, but we're still going at Farmers Tire Mart. We're still providing great service, and we thought we'd bring in a Ben Black tire. When you said, let's bring the Ben Black tire, I kept looking for his name on there, and it says BF Goodrich and all-terrain TA. That doesn't have his name on it, but apparently it's got his name on it.
It's got his name all over it.
So tell me
says,
what is it?
Ben is going to put it in the mud.
Well, it looks like it. And we have I don't know how many of those we can see in the set, but tires in stock, but we do tires and we do service. But if you don't have tires at Farmers Tire Mart, if you don't have them in stock, tell us what the procedure is. What's the process of getting some new tires?
Well, I just get on the website and click and order. Most of the time during the week, we can have them overnight. But we're running into a lot of issues with supply.
Yep.
It's taken with some tires, Ben's tires especially. We've had these ordered for probably about 3 weeks now.
Is that right? Yeah.
We're just
It's kind of a specialty tire.
Well, it's really not. It's
Really?
just a all-terrain, but we're running into that these tire companies, because of the COVID spikes.
Right.
You know, they're short-handed, so the supply is limited because the turnaround time in the factories is slowing way down, and we're having to wait on the tires.
Everything's supply and demand for tires. I mean, when tires wear out, it's time to get tires. So the demand never slows down.
That's right. That's right.
It does the demand itself, but the delivery may be a little slow from time to time. But
it is, and that's one of those things that the demand for tires is never going to go away. It's never going to diminish. It's never going to slow down. But just like everything else, everything has been affected by COVID. But we're gonna muster through it.
That's what the only choice we have.
That's
only
right.
choice. Tell me a little bit about service department, and then I mean, it's something that a lot of times people fail to realize what we really do at Farmers Tire Mart, because they think sometimes all I do is tires, and we do a lot more than tires.
That's right, we do. You know, we do your oil changes and your tire rotation, but we also do. You know, we flush the transmission, change the transmission fluid. We want to do all of your basic maintenance for you. And we also do ball joints, struts.
Brakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, just about anything you need done, we can do it here at Farmers Tire Mart.
Well, I've been doing business down here for a long, long time, and get my automobile serviced here. And when I got a problem with the automobile, I come and you know, if the engine blows up, the transmission goes out, and the rear end goes out, and all that, we know how and where do we need to send that if it's something that we can't handle.
Absolutely, we do. We've got great contacts, whether it's here in Newport or the surrounding areas. We've got people that can handle everything.
Yeah, but most general maintenance items, most repairs, we can handle right here in our shop, and you just have to call us or come by, schedule your appointment. Most of the time, we're readily available for walk-in, and especially when it comes on the tire side of it. But sometimes on the repair side, we have to schedule stuff in because we've got pretty good technicians back there, and the head tech, Bruce, has been here a long time.
He has. All three of our guys have been here for a long time.
They have.
You know, Edgar was here when Mom and Dad bought the place, and they took over in April of '92, and Edgar was here.
He sure was.
Bruce has been with us about 26, 27 years now, and then Linnell's been here about 14 or 15 years.
Is that right?
Yes. So we've got a lot of experience here that can handle anything you throw at us.
It's a pretty good crew, isn't it?
It is.
One of the things that we also do and continue to do, if you're on the farm, you haven't been on the farm, and you have a flat on the farm, what do?
We're gonna come to you.
We come to you.
Yesterday, bless their hearts, I had to make a flying trip to our vendor to pick up a big tractor tire, and I met them on the farm with it because they had to have it done yesterday, and I don't mind doing that. You know, it takes me a couple hours to get over and back, and the guys call me and tell me where they're at, and I meet them there.
Well, it's such a big help to those people because they can't really shut down for any period of time. They got to roll.
That's right, especially this time of year.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Marty Bain Brown at Farmers Tire Mart, where the rubber meets the road, and I appreciate you taking time to join us. We encourage people to come do some service business with us.
Absolutely, and it's getting closer to that time. The weather's going to change. Fall is coming quickly, I hope. Mm-hmm. It's going to get darker earlier, and headlights are so very important when it gets dark. We can clean that nasty gunk off of those headlights.
Hey, get them where they look right and they work right.
When you can see at night. We do that too.
Hello, Don Green. We're just visiting here with Marty Bain Brown at Farmers Tire Mart again, and we're on Malcolm Avenue. We've been here a long time. We appreciate all of our great customers who do business with us, and encourage you, if you've never done any business with us before, to do so.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
we
Marty.
Welcome you. Thank you.
Farmers Tire Mart, where the rubber meets the road.
Welcome to the August edition of the Farmers Supply Association Agriculture Report. I'm Randy Klepechka, agronomist with Farmers Supply Association. Well, we're heading to harvest really soon here. We're taping actually on August the 13th, and there could be some rice harvested next week. Certainly that week after that, we'll definitely start harvesting rice, but I think there may be a little bit cut next week. You know, corn will be right behind that, so things are fixing to happen on the harvest front, and I just wanted to kind of lead into the program by just mentioning that and saying that there's several things going on right now we need to talk about. Even though we're near the end, there's several management items we need to be thinking about. So just want to talk about those right now. First thing I want to talk about is rice stink bugs. If you listen to some of the consultants and others, you'll think it's been a really light rice stink bug year, but you know, in my area where I've been working at, it's been kind of a mixed bag. You know, I've had some fields where there are, you know, very few stink bugs, no issues with treatment or anything like that. And then I've got some fields where we've had some pretty high numbers and some treatment issues as well. So, you know, that's kind of been the story of the year, I think, is a little bit of inconsistency with those numbers depending on where you're at. You know, the treatment level for rice stink bugs after the second week of heading is 10 stink bugs per 10 sweeps of the net. We need to always remember to look for those nymphs in that net. You know, a lot of people think, I'm afraid that some people may just look at those brown adult stink bugs and call that their count. But the immatures are down in there too. And once they turn that whitish color, you need to be counting them too because they'll feed as well. So be sure to count all those stink bugs. And if you're over 10, you need to make a treatment. You know, the standby treatment has always been Lambda. You know, it's very economical, cheap, you know, if you want to call it that way. But we're starting to see a few issues with that. 2 years ago, I had an issue over around Wiener with poor control with Lambda. And this year, I recommended, about 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago, I recommended treatment on several hundred acres in North Jackson County with Lambda, and went back about 5 days later, and the control was almost nothing. So first thing I did, I called Matthew Davis at the Jackson County Extension Office. He got the university guys up here. They put out a test earlier this week and looked at it on Friday. Today, we're taping again on Friday the 13th, and what we found was very, very poor control, just really disappointing, maybe about 25% control at the most. So that's a big concern with our rice farmers with that stink bug control. So if you've got some late rice and you still need to control stink bugs, you may need to think about switching and maybe getting some malathion in your mix. Tenchu is a good rice stink bug herbicide, but I don't know if there's any available. If there's any available, it's probably not much and may not be any available. So we can always get the malathion, and you can mix, you know, you can malathion by itself or malathion mixed with Lambda can be good options there for control of stink bugs if you're having issues. Or, you know, you may get control with Lambda, but it's a risk that you may not, and then you'll get behind the 8 ball. So let's make sure we take care of those stink bugs until we're about 60% straw colored on that head. And just keep that Lambda control issues on your mind when you're doing that. Next thing, corn earworm and soybeans. Yesterday, Thursday, got a text message from Matthew Davis again at the Extension Office. And if you're not on his text list, you need to get on it because he provides some real timely pest management information on there. But he said there had been a hatch in central Jackson County and some treatments made in South Jackson County. So I looked at a few fields that I normally look at in central Jackson County, and I was finding 1 to 2 small larvae. You really had to look pretty hard. They're very small larvae, but there, you know, was indications of a hatch, and I don't know if there'll be bigger numbers or if it's just going to be a small hatch. But we need to keep that in mind. You know, treatment level for most of our insecticides would be a sliding threshold that the university has. If you're using the cheaper stuff, you know, it's like 5 or so stink bugs per 25 sweeps. If you're using the more expensive stuff like Prevathon or Besiege, it would be 8 stink bugs per 25 sweeps. But you know, with the populations I was seeing yesterday with those small numbers and small larvae, it's a great opportunity to use some Heligen, which is the living virus that is used to control corn earworm. So, you know, if you find those low numbers, small worms, consider using Heligen. Some things to remember with Heligen is, you know, it's a living virus, so you don't want to put it inside your truck and let it burn up in there. And also, we need to watch the pH of our water. If the pH of your water is over 8, or you don't know the pH of your water, you need to use a buffer and put that in the tank with you and hopefully get good control with the Heligen. So again, Heligen, or, you know, our old standbys have been Prevathon or Besiege. that have a pretty good residual, so we can look at those and use, just go our old standby. But consider the Heliogen. Your old standbys will be the Besiege and Prevathon, and we'll still see some people use a generic karate, the Lambda Psi. So it's a risky thing because there is a lot of resistance to it. You may not get good control, and you're not going to get any residual. So be aware if you do that you really need to be keeping your eyes on it. So that's kind of where we're at with the corn earworm. Want to move to irrigation termination. We're at that time of the year we can cut the water off on a lot of our crops, so want to go crop by crop on that. First, rice, and rice is the little touchy one on the irrigation termination. You can go too early with rice and the field will dry out too quick, the stalks will deteriorate, the plant may overdry, the grain may overdry and have some milling issues, so you can't drain too early. At the same time, you don't want to drain too late either, because what you do when you drain too late, you rut the field up when you harvest, and it costs money to repair those ruts. It can be wear and tear on your equipment can be pretty tough. So let's try not to drain too early, drain too late. It's a balancing act. There are several rules of thumb out there. Jared Hartke with the university uses the rule of thumb that if 2/3 of the panicle or head is straw colored on silt loam soils, you're good to drain. On clay soils, he said if 1/3 of that head or panicle is straw colored, you're good to drain. Looking at the DD50, they recommend draining at 25 days after 50% heading. If it's a medium grain, it's 30 to 35 days after 50% heading, so keep those in mind. And speaking of the DD50, I was just talking to one farmer who uses it really thoroughly, and he was talking about how close it was this year. He said he's drained several fields already, and he said I could drain right on that DD50 drain date and be right on. And so I've been really impressed with the DD50. I know people have not used it as much lately, but still some good utility right there, and consider using it again next year if you've stopped using it. So that's kind of another rule of thumb. A rule of thumb I've always used since I became a county agent: if the end of that panicle or head is straw colored and the base of it has milk in the kernels, then I think you're pretty good to go right there. Obviously, you've got to consider the weather. Hot and dry, you got to usually wait a little longer. Cool and wet, you might be able to pull the plug a little bit earlier. So that's it kind of on rice irrigation termination. Corn, and we've had several terminate irrigation on corn already. So the way we do that is we take a ear corn, break it in half, and get a kernel or some of those kernels from the middle of that ear, slice them lengthwise and see where that starch layer or that hard layer is at within that kernel. If it's at least 50% down on furrow irrigated corn, you're good to go. If it's at least 75% down on pivot irrigated corn, you're good to go, providing you have good moisture at that point. I've had several of those cases this year where it's about 50% down, but with the weather pattern, the way it's been hot and dry, I've usually told them to go ahead and water one more time to be safe on that. I'd rather be safe than sorry on the irrigation termination. On soybeans, it's all about separation of that soybean from that membrane within the pod wall there. If you'll open a soybean pod now before it's mature, you'll see a white membrane around the edge of that seed. And that tells you that plant is still, that seed is still growing. It's still absorbing moisture, taking in moisture, so it's still growing. But once it separates and that seed is loose within that pod, you don't see that membrane anymore, then you're through gaining weight. It's time to get ready for harvest, and you can go ahead and terminate irrigation. At that point, you can also, if you want to do a harvest aid, that's the beginning point of when you could look at maybe a gramoxone for a harvest aid. So that's kind of where we're at on the soybeans there. Harvest aids with rice, sodium chloride is the go-to material there. It's very critical that you watch your grain moisture when you do this. You want your grain moisture to be no higher than 25% when you're going to apply that sodium chlorate on your rice. And with the hybrids, maybe even a little bit lower than that, maybe 23%. Hybrids have that real long panicle, so the moisture is going to vary a little bit more through the length of that panicle. So, be sure in that case, I'd probably go down to about 23 or so. And then you can apply sodium chlorate probably till about 18 or so in those mid to upper teens. You don't want to let it get too dry because that'll affect milling. So remember, anywhere from about 23 to 25, depending on whether it's a hybrid or conventional, down to about 18. And then a big point right there is be sure and harvest before that, within 5 days of applying that sodium chlorate. Because if you wait too long, again, that grain's going to over dry, and what you're going to do is you're going to hurt your milling. So again, between 25 and 18, and be sure to harvest within about 5 days. And harvest aids can be a benefit if you use them in the right way, and but they can hurt you if you don't. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Next month when I talk to you, we should be right in the middle of harvest, and I can talk to you about yields. And I'm optimistic, especially about corn and rice, but hopefully that'll bear out when we see harvest. This has been Randy Kolpechka with your Farmers Supply Association Agri Report for August.
Merchants and Planters Bank was founded in 1946 by farmers and business owners because they needed a community bank that knew them and understood their business. A lot has changed since then, but Merchants and Planters Bank is still employee-owned and operated, and we're still committed to knowing and understanding the needs of every customer we serve. Great rates, fast turnarounds, and experienced local bankers ready to work for you. That's why you should choose Merchants and Planters Bank. Stop in any of our 12 locations or contact us at mnpbank.com.
Well, welcome to another edition of the First Community Bank Newport Greyhound Report. And visiting with us this month is Coach Brandon Gates.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's always going to be Coach Brandon Gates. It's never going to be Mr. Brandon Gates, I don't think. But welcome to
Yes, sir.
the program, sir.
Hey, good to be here. Yes, sir.
Now, most of the time when we visit with you, or all of the time we visit with you, we talk about basketball. We talk about what's going on with your team and how's the summer workouts going. And this year it's a little bit different. We've changed jobs. Let's get right into it. Tell us what you're doing now. Let's talk a little bit about the new job assignment that you have.
Well, I'm the high school assistant principal, and so I got hired on this summer for that, and felt like we ended the basketball season on a high note, and that it was time for me to go ahead and make that transition. So I've been working this summer. We had summer school in June, and this month we're getting everything ready for the school year, you know, working on policies, procedures, getting the handbooks all taken care of, and just doing a lot of work there in the office.
Well, you talk about a change and ending up the year, and what a fantastic year that the Hounds had. And it's different when you become an administrator, but it's still doing what you like doing best, and that's being around kids. Talk about that part of it.
Yeah, somebody said, you know, you're not coaching, and I said, well, I'll always be coaching. I'm just coaching a different group.
Sure.
You know, as an assistant principal, I get a chance to work with the teachers, especially novice teachers, and in fact, it's going to be a lot of instructional leadership. Being in the classrooms, doing observations, doing teacher evaluations, and then of course our novice teachers, working with them to help them to make sure they ensure best practices in the classroom. So we'll be in the classroom. My job will be every day in someone's class. But as a basketball coach, you know, you teach your class, and then you coach your team. But there's a whole lot of the student population that I never really knew and never really got a chance to know. And so at this level, I'll know all the kids. I'll be able to support them in their extracurricular activities, and be able to at least be able to help them out and pour into them and hopefully support them and see them succeed.
Well, you mentioned to me earlier that you know, your contract didn't start till July 1st, but a lot of work to be done. So you learned a little bit this summer because you started a little early. Talk about that.
Yeah, in June, I just dove right in there every day just to learn Coach Bradley's philosophy and whatever it was that he wanted to share with me and teach me. And then Coach Benny Reynolds, who's our Dean of Students, and learning the policies on discipline. He does an outstanding job, you know, on discipline. The last couple of years at the school has just been it's been a breath of fresh air, because, you know, especially the teachers, they know that, you know, if they're having problems with students that really need to be corrected, you know, Coach Reynolds is going to take care of that. And he supports the teachers, loves the students, but, you know, they got to be taught, obviously. And so I've learned his policies, and then we had summer school in June, and then a little bit in July. So we had to take care of summer school every day for 4 hours a day. So we put in quite a bit of time, and then going to various workshops and just getting acclimated into the administration.
Well, how important is it to have local people in those positions. I mean, we've had before, and I don't ever remember where we've had 3 administrators all from from right here in Jackson County. And of course, you're a Tuckerman High School graduate, and then Coach Bradley and Coach Reynolds, Newport High School graduates. But you've been at Newport for a long time, so you're a Greyhound at heart. And how important is that to have local guys running that school over there?
Well, I think the value of it is that you know the community, you know the school, you know the demographics, and so one of the main values, I believe, is that we have good community involvement. We're able to develop good public relations with the businesses and with a lot of the families in school, and hopefully have some pride. I mean, one of the things when you bring a lot of outside folks in, it's a job that they're working. With us, I see it every day. It's pride. We want the school to be the best that it can be, and so we're going to work hard to ensure that.
Well, I think it's a very good staff, as I mentioned, and I think great things are going to happen at Newport High School. And, when you look at what we're trying to do, I've always said we have a very good school. We have a good school over here. Just talk about how good a school we have.
Well, we got some great teachers, for one, who do a lot of best practices in the classroom and a lot of differentiating and instruction, and I'm impressed with a lot of our teachers. And we've got good kids. We really do. We have good kids, and athletic programs are all on the up, boys and girls. Leadership team is one mind, one accord, and that's a beautiful thing. But our facilities are awesome. A lot of folks maybe from the outside that don't know a whole lot about Newport may have their own stereotypes and their own ideas. It's completely different than what they would think.
Well, I think that it's a great place to go to school. I think it's a great place to be an athlete, a great place to be a student. It's a great place to get an education. And I may be a little prejudiced, but I've been in other schools, I've been in other school districts, I've been around the state of Arkansas and just have seen, other places. And I just think it's a little bit different right here in Jackson County. I think it's a little bit different in Newport, Arkansas, and it's because of guys like you and people that have devoted their life to education. And that's another thing that I want to ask you about. And I don't guess I've ever asked you before, when along the way did you decide maybe coaching and education that's what I want to do? Where along the way did that happen?
Well, I played high school ball, and then I got into college, and I thought, I was a student athlete, so maybe the best next thing is to coach and to be able to pour in my knowledge into the next generation. And then I think through college, I started thinking, well, I'm going to have to teach PE, or I'm going to have to teach something in order to coach. You know how you are when you're in college. And so I was directed into that path, but God was doing it. It was all working out the way it was supposed to. And then when I got into education, and I'm not a student, now I'm the teacher.
Right.
And I've got a lot more responsibility. Those first few years taught me a whole lot. And over the years, I've just developed this ambition to pour into this generation, to make sure that this generation is able to be good citizens and good character people. And I think giving back is what we all want to do when we mature and we become adults. You want to give back because you want your country, you want your school, your city to be the best that it can be. So I think maybe it's just been progressive over the years.
Well, there's no doubt when good people get involved with good schools and then we have good students, then they make good citizens, and I think that's what we're doing at Newport High School.
I think so too, yes sir.
We've covered everything we need to cover today?
I think so.
Coach Brandon Gates. Mr. Brandon Gates. It'll never be Mr. Brandon Gates. It was always Coach Black, and every coach that's ever gone into administration, it's Coach forever. But Coach Brandon Gates with a new job assignment, congratulations. I'm very proud of you, and I'm excited about where our school is going and excited about the direction that it's going, especially with the leadership in the high school office.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you.
First Community Bank, the Newport Greyhound Report. This is Brandon Gates. We welcome April Cooper back to our program at St. Michael's Place, Pecan Street in Newport, and it's been a while since you've been on the air, and you've kind of got an interesting story to tell, but welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about, I came one time several months ago, you were gone, and then I came back about a week later and you were back. Kind of fill us in on the story there, because it's a good story.
I'll tell you, actually, this will be my third stint here at St. Michael's. The The first one was several years ago, and I left here for a big opportunity and lots of money, and went to work with Lawrence Health Systems in Walnut Ridge. And I was there for 2.5 years, but always kept in touch with these folks here in Jackson County that I had worked with. And when the opportunity arose, I decided, you know, I really liked it there in Jackson County. The commute is double, the money is less, but buddy, I'm going back. So I did.
Yeah.
So I came back, and I was glad I did. And I was here for a couple of years, and then again another opportunity arose with a gentleman who the company, I knew him personally and worked for him years and years ago, and I let him talk me into deciding to go to work for him again. And so I resigned my spot, gave him my 30-day notice, and was gone maybe a week and a half. And I cannot tell you the number of tears or phone calls that I made back to the folks here. And then as a parting gift, what they gave me when I left here was a mouse pad that had all their pictures on it.
Right.
So every day at my new job, I'm looking at this mouse pad and I just cried. I'm like, I miss those folks in Jackson County so much. So I made it about a week and a half, and I called my boss and said, can I please have my job back? And he said yes. And so I let the folks over there know, and they were quite gracious. They did not want me to leave, but they were quite gracious and let me go ahead and come back because my heart was here in Jackson County. And I do drive from Paragould every day.
Yeah.
It takes me exactly 1 hour to get from my driveway to the nursing home. So it gives me time to think about my day, and it gives me time to wind down from my day. And I get to listen to audiobooks to and from. So it's really, you know, it's not a bad commute at all. And this will be my last home as an administrator. I've been an administrator since 1999, a nurse since 1992. And St. Michael's will be my last home as an administrator. So I hope to make it here at least 7 or 8 more years, and then possibly go to work for the state for about 5 years before I finally am able to retire.
You know, we had visited a little bit before we got on the air here and talk about the story and because tell me what happened in the meantime where I missed you there for a week or so, and then you were gone and you're back. But I think the most important thing that hits at me is when you talk about the people of Jackson County.
Yes.
The people that we have here that work at this facility and the facility itself and the care you get at this facility.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
I'm going to tell you, I've been around in long-term care for a minute, and I keep in touch with all my peers in different counties that run nursing homes. And the workforce, I'm sure everybody's aware, they need help everywhere. The workforce here in Jackson County, as far as in our nursing home, we are so fortunate and so blessed to have the housekeepers, the dietary folks, the CNAs, the nurses, my department managers. I mean, I couldn't ask to work for a better group of people. And I will tell you right now, I would hope the day would never come, but if I had to put my mother in a home, I would put her right here at St. Michael's, and I could lay my head down at night and not worry about her being mistreated, because my folks here are just good. I would stand any of my CNAs or my nurses up against anywhere. The folks we have here in Jackson County, I came back to Jackson County. I drive an hour one way every day because I wanted to work for these people. It's not because I was offered more money, because that's not the case. Right. It's because, I'm kind of old. It's not all about the money anymore, although I like money. Sure. But I'm happy here. Right. And this will be the last nursing home I run. And I count my blessings on the daily about the staff that I have here working with me to take care of these folks.
Well, money can't buy that how you feel
No, they
about
cannot.
people.
No, they cannot. No, it cannot.
Can't pay for happiness, and you beam with enthusiasm when I walk in the door to see you, on a monthly basis, and
because I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here, and it just when the boss is happy, everybody's happy, and that means that you're doing a fantastic job because they're doing a fantastic job. So. It's been a good run, and think you're going to stay this time?
I'm definitely going to stay. And I'll tell you, I think a lot of the bonding, I survived COVID with these folks. Right. And that was a trying time for the entire community, for the entire
Everybody.
for the entire world. But that was a, you know, we were out here shoulder to shoulder taking care of these folks, and you bond with people when you live through something like that. So I mean, there's just no way I could go anywhere and work with another group of people because these are my folks.
Well, it's a great story, and it's a great story because it's a great place, and if you're interested in whether it's short-term care or long-term care, you know, we provide both, and rehabilitation services and other things here at St. Michael's Place, and it's always good to come out here and get to visit with positive folks. And I mean, I highly recommend you guys.
Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, and you're a spitfire and a dandy, and just a happy, just.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think when I retire from what I'm doing right now, I think I just want to come on board and help do something. I love working for you.
We got all kinds of fun things we can do with these residents. You know, just last month we did a slip and slide, which I wasn't sure about.
Right.
But they showed me a YouTube video of a home somewhere that had done it. And I had my medical director right out there ready just in case something went wrong, but it didn't. And they had a great time, and they even got me on that slip and slide, which I would have never dreamed they would do. And they did a video of that, which is not pretty, but it was fun.
Tremendous, yeah, I guarantee it was fun. Tremendous service here, and a lot of fun along the way. And April, we appreciate you taking time to spend with us to
That
tell
was
us
my
a little
pleasure.
bit more
Thank you
about
so
the
much.
story of St. Michael's Place. And April Cooper is the administrator here, and she's here for the long run this time, she said. So when you walk in the door, her office is at the very first door on the right. It's not like you have to hide somewhere in the building to be found. Thanks,
I never
April.
hide.
Well, it's always a pleasure for me to get to welcome my good friend, Dr. Jeff Angel, back to our program. And anytime I can see the good doctor in these circumstances where it's not work for him, that means I'm wide awake and doing well. Good to see you, Doc.
Good to see you.
Every time I've gotten to see you while you were working, you always put me to sleep for some reason now, and I understand that.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more comfortable for you.
It does, doesn't it? All right, well, we want to talk about some things today, and I've interviewed you before, and for those folks who might not know you or you know who've been under a rock, tell us a little bit about Jeff Angel. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, and then how you got to Batesville, Arkansas, and how you got to WRMC.
Be glad to. I grew up in Cabot, Arkansas, just down the road. Played for the Panthers and graduated in 1980. Went on to college at University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, and then graduated, applied, and got into medical school. Went to University of Arkansas Medical Sciences campus in Little Rock. Did my medical school there, and then graduated. Got into the orthopedic program, which was another 5 years. So, as I tell kids a lot of times, I got through the 23rd grade.
That's right. Like, you guys have to do a lot of training. I mean, there's a lot of training involved in what you do.
Yeah, there is. It's, they want us to have a breadth and depth in our knowledge. So we have a broad knowledge from going to college, going to medical school, from biology to chemistry, and knowing all the breadth of the human body and biology. But then we also then have 5 years to do surgery, 5 years of intense training and get the depth of our specialty. And where the old adage is, see one, do one, teach one. But the point is that we are learning and teaching at the same time. So we're learning from our attending surgeons, from surgeons that are above us in responsibility and in experience, and then we learn it, and as we're learning it, we're teaching it to someone younger than us. So through that process, we just get hours and hours of exposure, hours and hours of different people doing things different ways, and then of course all the didactic, which is the reading and conferences, all in that together. So yes, we do have a broad and a deep educational system.
Well, you're at WRMC Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinic and been there for a while. And I mean, your experiences have been, I mean, I know awesome. And I've used you forever. I think you're the best, and you're working for a great team up there. And this is the time of year when high school, colleges get back to playing football, and the Olympics they just happened, and sports injuries, and you handle a lot of that. So it's kind of like a specialty for you. But the sports medicine side has really grown. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on sports medicine and the injuries that there are in athletics, because it just happens.
Yeah, there's always going to be, unfortunately, some injuries. Most of them, fortunately, are minor and that will self-resolve and with time. And a lot of them need some treatment. Some of them need even more complex treatments. But however, we can be injured doing anything of walking outside. We see injuries of tripping over the water hose. So we try not to, we try to make the sports as safe as they can be, but people and kids gain great, not only the physical and activity part of growing up and participating in sports, but also the mental thing and the teamwork building and the discipline. So it's very, very rewarding to be a part of sports and the development of young people, and even the competitiveness side of it, and keeping people driving to do things they want to do to make themselves better, which then transitions into other parts of their life where they're trying to make their marriage better or their work better or trying to do their career. So it's been a real love thing for us in orthopedics, who have kind of married to sports medicine. And although we take care of patients from every age, from the time they're born to the seniors, there's a special place for most orthopedic surgeons' heart for sports medicine. It's one of the places really rewarding because we're able to keep people doing what they want to do. And when you're in the prime of your life and you're in the sports, you're really wanting to be your best, and it's their time. Everyone knows that the clock is kind of ticking for you to be your best, and so it's really exciting and real rewarding to help somebody do their best at what they're trying to do.
Like when you look at some of the numbers that I've been given here, when it's talking about how many people participate and how much training goes in, and I mean, literally millions of children and adolescents in youth sports and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of people participate. How important is the training compared to, everybody's got to train, but how important is that? And then sometimes you just have just like you say, the person who walks outside and trips on the sidewalk and injures an ankle, didn't need any training for that. How important is sports training?
Yeah, there's been lots of studies and lots of time-honored techniques in preventing injuries. And we know that we call them weekend warrior athletes, but the athletes who are through with high school and college sports and that go out and do competitive sports like city volleyball, city basketball, some pickup games, that if they don't do that very often and they go out there and play, their mind is trying to make their body move like they were when they were in high school, an 18-year-old, and the body's not responding, and that's a perfect setup for an injury. So not only in our weekend warriors, but in regular athletes of all ages, the proper conditioning, which is not very popular and I didn't like it when I was playing football, but the conditioning and preseason conditioning is so vital to prevent injuries. And then also the ongoing maintenance of physical fitness. One time they did a study and showed even baseball pitchers lost strength in their arms when they didn't do certain band exercises during their season. And so we do certain motions in a lot of athletic events, but the overall core muscles in the abdomen, the spine, the back, it's the healthier and stronger the whole person is, then they're going to have less injuries and be able to compete at a higher rate.
What's most common and what are some of the injuries that you see being an orthopedic surgeon, and especially at the high school level? Because we live in small towns and take care of small towns. What are the most common injuries that you see?
Yeah, some of the most common injuries are the knee, ankle, and then in a shoulder. Those are the three big ones. I think the knee is the most common musculoskeletal complaint of all, and especially in sports. So we see lots and lots of knee injuries, ankle injuries, cutting sports, anything that where somebody's changing directions really fast, ankles, there's a lot of injuries. And then when there's in the collision sports, or even in the sports that it's collision sport to me, but volleyball, when players are diving to the ground and they hit their shoulder, you can hurt the shoulder in a lot of in any type of sport where they're in athletic endeavor where there's collision. So those are the big ones.
I know that you have to keep up with the latest of technologies and that the clinic does, and then you still, after all the training that you did when you're young, you're still training, you're still practicing, they say, and you're still working on the up-to-date technologies that there are today. And robotics comes to mind. What a specialty.
Yeah, it is exciting. We're kind of sometimes they make fun of us for being the carpenters of medicine, but also being the technology nerds. So you're exactly right. We go to meetings, throughout the year. It's been over Zoom during the COVID, but we go to meetings and hear other doctors presenting new methods, new technology, and we're always reading. So we're lifelong students. And it's one thing I tell younger people is that's one of the exciting things about being a surgeon is you get to learn your whole life. So you're always fresh and keeping up with new things, because there's always something better coming down the line to treat something, make it perfect. Even though we got 95% results, we're always striving to get it to 99 to 100%. So there's always improvements. So yes, the robotics for arthroplasty and joint replacements has been great. More and more arthroscopic procedures by doing not as much infection, and also being able to get patients back faster by having less invasive techniques. And so those are the things that do make it exciting and keep us on our game, so to speak, to keep up in medicine.
Who are some of the doctors that train with you there, or that are there with you, not train with you, but you've got, there's several other folks.
We've got a great group now. We've got Dr. Allen, who's been here a long time and the founder of our clinic. And then we've got Dr. Carpenter, who's been here for about 10 years now. And then also Dr. Greer, who joined us a couple of years ago. And so they both do sports medicine. They both help cover Line College and help cover the local high schools. And so we're all very available for people that want to see us regardless. And if we can't handle it, we've got direct contact and connections with doctors in Little Rock or wherever we need to send somebody for something that we can't do. So we can see the person and tell them what we recommend, but also if it's something that's very elaborate, we can also have connections to know where would we send our family to at the next stop if we need it.
Somebody needs to see you. Somebody's got a problem like one of us old people out here in the world. How do we get in touch with you guys? What do we have to do to get to see you guys? I know what I do.
Call the White River Sports Medicine Orthopedic Clinic, and it's 870-793-2371. And we'll be glad to see you. And if anyone ever has any trouble getting in, and we have an open door if you have your doctor or able to know somebody like you that's got our number and text us, we'll always get somebody in as quick as we need to.
You've always taken care of me, my friend, and I've always appreciated it. You've taken care of Grant Black some too, our baseball player, and it's nice to know that you have somebody to turn to when you've got a little ache or pain. It's a little bit more than an ache or pain. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. I know you got lots of things going on today, Doc, but it's always my pleasure to get to see you.
Anytime. Take care.
All right, it's Dr. Jeff Angel from WRMC at the Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinic up in Batesville. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.